Welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be taking a first look at this Cane Creek thudbuster LT suspension seat post. So let's go take a look at the box here. On the bottom of the box it says that this seat post is great for e-bikes, gravel, touring, adventure, or to simply add extra comfort to any ride. Let me focus on this. When I ordered this Cane Creek 3G thudbuster long travel seat post, I only had a few options, and that was 27.2 post diameter, and if I wanted a standard post length or extra large, and I just went with standard, so they check marked the box 400 millimeters. On the top of the box here it does say that it was assembled in United States. Another thing to note is this long travel says it has 76 millimeters of travel and the short travel has 33 millimeters. The weights are also listed at 585 grams for this seat post, or a short travel version at 445 grams. For both of the seat posts, including this one, there's a max rider weight limit of 250 pounds, and that if you do weigh under 140 pounds or over 215 pounds, you're going to need additional elastomers to modify the seat post so it works better for you. And on the bottom of the back of the box it does note that the seat post flexes in a backwards motion if you're operating it properly, so it's the opposite direction of the rear wheel travel. If the rear wheel travel comes up towards the back where you're riding or towards the seat post flexes the other direction. There is a quick little note that it's made with 50% recycled material, and that's it. There's nothing on the bottom. So it is strapped on with a little zip tie there, and I'll just show you real quickly what this looks like inside the retail package. And I think there is something inside. So I'll go see if that's more elastomers. Alright, so I just removed the zip tie and have not opened this yet. This will be my first time. And I'll see if it comes apart. Okay, so this is opening it up. And let's see what this is. So these two elastomers were inside. There's a number 3 and a number 7 on them. I believe it says Cane Creek. Nothing too fancy. I believe they're the same diameter as each other. This one's actually real hard. This one feels a little softer, but with my hands I can't press them down because they're meant for riders that are over 100 pounds, and I can't push 100 pounds with my fingers. And it might be hard to see, but there is a 5 right here on this one, and on the other seat post, the other side, there is also a 5. So the way that these work is that these will go on either side, so you could replace one with a 7 and one with a 3, whatever you like. 7 I guess would make it stiffer. Let's look at the instructions to find out. It's probably wise to read through the initial installation instructions, so here's what it looks like. If you want to pause and read through it, you can. Here's the lower part, and I'll move it down one more time. The chart here could be pretty important, so I could go get a little closer look on that. So indeed this chart is important if you already have one, or if you don't have one. So it shows the combinations of the elastomers, and what it comes with is 2 5s, and that's for the weight of 165 to 190 pound riders, or if you're metric, between 75 and 86 kilograms. I am a little lighter than that, so I may have to go with a 3 and a 5 because I'm between 140 and 165 pounds, so I'm going to use that. There's also another schematic diagram here, so I got to get a little close up just so you can see how it's put together. As I mentioned earlier, it's supposed to weigh 585 grams. So what do you think? Does this post weigh more or less than 585 grams? I have not weighed this yet, and my guess is that it's going to weigh a little more than 585 grams, because I think sometimes manufacturers like to say that things are lighter than they normally are. So my guess is, let's say 590 grams. Alright, let's see what it is. Oh! Hey, it's more than 585. This is weighing at 602 grams as is. And this is with the two number 5 elastomers. Get one more weight in. I'm not sure if these make a difference. Here's the number 7 elastomer. Maybe it's more dense than the other ones. 21 grams. Here's the number 3. Save 2 grams because this is less dense than the 7. So these are two I weighed. I weighed this one at 21 grams and then the number 3 at 19 grams. And you can't really tell just by looking at it. I guess if I squeeze it this way, you can see it compacts a little, and with the same force, this one barely moves. So it's probably like that when it's installed. It's a lot more firm. Okay, so on the front of the seat posts are the numbers here. I could zoom in a little, get a close-up to show you. There's the end of the seat post right here, and let's go take a look at how much minimum insertion there is. I'm just going to go by centimeters or millimeters, and it looks to be right at 10 centimeters or 100 millimeters for minimum insertion. These numbers here are centimeter lengths, so of how far in it is. So that's 10 centimeters and goes all the way up to, I think, 15. Yep. Alright, here's just a look, and you can see the 15 on the right side kind of matches up with the 15 on the tape measure from here to here. Now take a look at this 15. I'm going to put my finger right here, and as you kind of rotate it around, that might be the maximum insertion, and it might line up with the end of this K, or if I turn it this way, it might line up around maybe the end of the T. After that, there's like a lip here, so you can't put the seat post in any further. So if this T right here, the middle of the T, is the maximum insertion, the important part is what is the minimum insertion distance of this seat post, and that's actually very important. So I've searched online quite a bit, and what I found that said that it was 142 millimeters, but I'm going to put this right on the T here. You're going to have to see on the left side, it's right on T. I'm going to hold this there, and when I put it to the middle of the seat post, it looks like it comes closer to 150 millimeters or 15 centimeters. So you make sure you measure, it depends on where in the middle, I guess, but make sure you measure your seat post length to make sure that you have at least, my guess is 150 millimeters between where your seat post is inserted to the seat rails, or the right at the rail, and that way you would know that this seat post could work for you. So this is the back side of the seat post, because the suspension faces downwards towards the rear wheel, and it looks like there is a Allen wrench bolt. It looks like a 5 millimeter to me just by eyeing it. And then on the top here is another Allen bolt, and this one looks like it could be 4 millimeter, and it does say torque probably spec at 5 Newton meters. And on the inside here is the other part for the seat post, and I don't see a torque spec for that one. This one's actually real tight, so I don't know if I need a wrench. Yeah, see, I'm already putting little marks in my hand just trying to move it, so it's real tight. So I'm going to have to use a wrench or something to loosen it up a bit, and then we can go look at this side. This is the upper side, and if I use something flat, even with my hands, you see that it's flush. Well, I could just turn it to show you it's flush. Therefore, you may need a socket to get to this, because if you have a crescent wrench, it'd be a little tough to get in there to loosen that. What other people have said is you'd have to put the seat in, the seat post, sit on it a little to compress the elastomers together to loosen it. Then you could go ahead and get towards that. So I'm just showing you a close look at this seat post. The front of the seat post is actually upward. This is the front part because the rear faces towards the back. And just looking at the pivots and some Allen bolts. And then I'll go ahead and flip it over, show you the other side, and it looks like those Allen bolts that were here and here on the other side are only on one side. And that would be on the left side. So this is the back because it's lower. And so this is the front, and this would be the left side. Another thing I want to note is this is factory install, and you want to see how many threads there are. So when you do change the shims, like what I'm about to do, or elastomers I mean, you just want to see how many threads there are. So when you tighten it down, it looks like there's about 1.5 to 2 threads showing at the end of this bolt. So that's what you want to note. Then when you install it, and you install it the same, it should be as the factory installed it. Alright, I tried real hard to loosen this by hand, but it couldn't. So if you look from the top, you'll see that it kind of splits apart a little bit here. And unfortunately, I had to use a tool, so only use it at your own risk, and I already kind of scratched it up a little bit. So what I did is I got these pliers, and I put it here, I gripped them, and then I slowly twisted them in order to loosen it up. And actually, I went this direction to loosen it. The other side, however, it's actually quite loose. You could just loosen it with your hand. So on the install, it says loosen the 2 saddle clamp bolts, which is what I just did. And then be sure grease is applied to the interface between the lower clamp and the cradle. So looking at the seat post, this is the lower clamp right here, and the cradle is right here. I'll zoom in a little bit there, and if I put my hand here, there's no grease there. So you're going to need to have some grease in order to install this properly. And this part's not coming out by itself, so I may have to take both the bolts completely off to install some grease, and then I could install it back in. And lastly, there is this label inside with warranty information on the other side. Well, there you have it, the contents of the Cane Creek LT thudbuster suspension seat post. This one's 27.2 millimeters. Thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe if you like to, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. Thanks again, and hope to see you in the next video.